Alright guys, I'm going to show you how to review time, add time for employees, or edit times. So you're going to open up the app, go to the payroll and time. Now this video is specifically for when you're working on the desktop or on your computer. I'll do a different video for how to review on your phone. So go to the time and attendance app. When you see the overview, that's who is currently clocked in. So to review timesheets, you can go to time cards. So what you're going to do is, if people who have full admin privileges will be able to see everybody's timesheets. People who only have access either to themselves or to a certain crew will have access to just those people. If you have the ability to see other people's timesheets, you also have the ability to edit and approve them. We're going to work out our details as far as who we want approving timesheets. So for now, if you're a foreman or a project manager, talk to me before you approve timesheets, because I use that as kind of a final check mark that it's ready for payroll. And I don't want somebody approving timesheets that are not truly approved yet. So you can edit, but you cannot. I don't want you approving timesheets. So to review the timesheet, you can go, if you want to just go through your entire list, or you can search for an employee. So you can search right here, or just start at the top. If you want to alphabetize them, you can do that. Or if you want to see which ones are approved or which ones are pending, you can see it that way. You can organize that however you want by the column. So I'm going to go into alphabetical order. I'll just start up here at LJ. Now I've already reviewed LJ's time and approved it. So basically what that tells me is when it's been marked approved, I'm not going to revisit it. I've looked at it. I'm okay with it. I'm moving on. So up here in the top right, you can click to your next employee. John Anderson is the next person yet. So I've reviewed all of his timesheets except the last day that he worked. So I'm going to go over here to the right-hand side. Now, one thing that I really like about this compared to ClockShark is it gives me a real snapshot of his entire week. I can go to this duration column and I can scroll down and look for any anomalies. Like these look like pretty much normal days. Like there was one day where he only worked 4 hours. So I might drill down to that and see, did he accidentally clock out earlier or what happened? But if there's someone has like 27 hours, then this is a quick way to get a red flag and look and see if anything's wrong. And it's also quick for me to scroll down here on the right and see when they took breaks or not. And it looks like he's been taking all of his breaks except for the days that he worked less than 5 hours, so he's not required. So that's great. It's a quick snapshot. Doesn't tell me what job or pay rate he's clocked into, but it shows me that things look like they're mostly normal. So then over here on the right-hand side, I'm going to say edit or view entry time. And I'm going to look at it. He clocked in. He clocked out. He took a break. And everything looks fine. You can scroll down. If he put any comments in, they'd be right there. Now, I'm going to show you on a different one how to edit someone's time. So for now, we're just talking about reviewing. There's nothing here to edit. Everything looks good. I'm going to hit done. Now, I'm going to hit approve. I do not want you guys to do that until I give you permission to do it. So let's move on to the next employee. I don't know if I'm going to have many edits here. So what I'm going to do for the purpose of this video, Sam sent me his times by text. So I'm going to go straight to him. I'm going to enter some times, and I'm going to intentionally edit them in a way that I need to. I'm going to add some times, and I'm going to intentionally do some things that I'm going to have to come back and edit so I can show you how to do that. So we're going to say, I'm going to search for Sam. Now I've already approved Sam's timesheet because I approved it before he sent me these texts. So that's okay. But now I need to add some times. So to add time for someone who didn't clock in, you can go over here and say new entry. So I'm going to put the date in on 12. So 12:20, I already have that time. So I'm going to start with 12:21. He tells me he clocked in from 7, and he clocked out at 1:30. Now I want to point out to you something here. So I put my cursor right at the beginning and I typed 1:30, and that's what it did. It skipped the 13 because we're not using military time. So because it's 1, I actually got to start with 0, 1:30. And I need to change that to PM. You can either click it or you can type A for AM or PM. I'm going to add the time. Now, he didn't tell me if he took a break. I'm going to assume that he did, but for now, so that I can show you how to edit. Well, actually, no. On this one, I'm going to just go ahead and it won't let me save this because I haven't added a job code. So if I just go ahead and hit save, it's going to tell me those things are missing. So the job code, what that is I got to put in his pay rate, which is going to be regular rate because he was working during the day. And the job, he told me he was on 1528. So what I do is I search for 1528. That's going to pull up both my 21 1528 and my 22 1528. So you got to be really careful that you pick the correct one. Now, I want to also point this out. If you put 21-1528, it pulls up a lot more because what it's doing is searching for anything that has the word 21 in it. So sometimes it's actually beneficial to not do the full name, just put the ending. It gives you less options to choose from. Now you have to click the one. Now you'll notice now I have to choose a start time and an end time here. Even though he was only on one job, if he was on multiple jobs, I would have to choose those. So it's making me, even though he was only on one job, I still have to choose the start time and the end time. So if I hit select time, it's going to automatically populate what I put in up above. I'm going to hit end time. It's going to automatically populate that. So that works out nice. I'm going to assume he took a break because a break is required for over 6 hours. So I'm going to add a meal break. I'm going to ask him to review this, and if he tells me that he didn't, then he can. Then I can come back and take it out, and I'll document that he didn't take a break. So select time. I'm just going to say he took a break from 11. Now you notice on this, it's making me put in seconds. I don't know why, but I always find it's easier when you're entering time. It's easier to, what I do is I put my cursor there at the end of the time and then I delete all the way back. I just find it, for me, it's just easier and prevents mistakes instead of trying to put my cursor right in the middle. So there's his time, 7 to 1:30 on that job, and we took a break. Now let's suppose I entered this wrong and I want to actually change this to 2:30. I'm going to hit save, and what it's going to do is going to pop up an alert for me. And it's going to say that doesn't match the clock in and clock out that I put up above. And so it's going to ask me, do I want to change that? If I say yes, proceed, what it does is it changes that up there. But now let's suppose I come back and I want to change this to 1:30. And that also changed this. It doesn't always do it, and I'm still trying to figure out why. So you got to make sure when you're editing time, you always got to make sure that the original clock in and the original clock out matches the original clock in down here and the original clock out down here if you have multiple jobs. It will usually pop up an alert if you do something that's like impossible, like clocking out before you're supposed to clock out or something, or overlapping time. It won't let you do that. It won't let you save those kinds of errors. But just verify that. I have found it works better if you're editing time. Suppose you're editing the guy's clock out time or something. It works better to start from the top and work down. I don't know why, it just seems better. So again, like suppose I want to change that to 2:30, start at the top, and then come down here and click down here. It's going to change it. You'll see when you start experimenting with it, you'll see it just just remember that it works better to start at the top and work down. the system likes that better. Okay, so now I'm gonna, let's see. So we've done reviewing time, we've done adding time, we've done editing time. So let me go in and add a wrong time entry here. I just want to show you what it looks like when there's multiple jobs. So add a job code. He worked regular rate, and let's just say he was in the office next. So here's an example. Let's suppose he was in the office from 1:30 to 2:30. So I'm going to say that it's automatically going to populate that from up above because that's the next logical time. But when I do the clock out, now it's not going to know what to think because my time up here is 1:30. So let's suppose it was actually 2:30. Do I want to change it up above? Yes, I want to change it up above, and so it's going to change that. Now, now let's suppose I come back and let's see. Let's say Sam texted me and he said, "Hey, I actually clocked out at 2 instead of 2:30." And so if I come and change this, it automatically changed that down below. Like I said, sometimes it automatically matches them and sometimes it doesn't, and I don't know why. So just really keep an eye on those. Especially keep an eye on your dates. This gets really tricky when guys are working overnight and date ranges span 2 days period. When you're making edits and adding breaks and stuff, it's really easy to get the wrong day in there, and it will give you an error if you do something that's impossible, or you may end up accidentally clocking the guy in for 36 hours or something. So you really got to keep an eye on that. So I'm going to try deleting this time because he didn't actually work it. Now you notice that I deleted that time. So down here he clocked out at 1:30. Up here he clocked out at 2. Let's see what happens if I try to save it, see if it lets me. Okay, so it's going to give me an error and it's going to highlight those red. And so I've got to change this one up here to 1:30. Now, anytime you make an edit, it's going to make you put in a comment. I don't get too detailed on the comments, but you want enough just to draw your attention to what change was made. Don't just hit dot or something like that. Give some information, but it doesn't have to be super detailed. Now, I want to show you this also. You can go back and look at that. You can come here to changes history, and it's going to show who made what changes. So that's a way to, suppose you accidentally make a change you weren't supposed to make, it's gonna help you troubleshoot that and figure that out. So I'm gonna go ahead and approve that time. And I think I can stop my recording there. There's obviously a lot more to show you guys, but this is the basics of reviewing timesheets and making edits.